Hi, welcome to my video on the review of decimals. You notice that I have a total. What you can do is work out the review as a quiz or an assignment and score it yourself to see how well you're doing with the decimals. Notice I have page 1 of 8 here, so that means I have 8 pages to go through. So what you can do is mark 1 of 8, 2 of 8, 3 of 8, 4 of 8 on each of 8 blank pages and work out your answers, pause your video, work out a page and correct it, and then go to the next page, etc., etc. So the total of this assignment or review is 70 marks. So you get your score, which is added to sum of all the numbers at the bottom of each page, place the total here, divide by 70, convert it to a decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right to get your percent. Here we go. Page 2 of 8. So notice you have all these questions, so pause your video, work all these out, and then press play to see how many you get right. Name the place value of each digit. The 6, so that's ones, tens, 100. B, the 3 is in the tenths, one place to the right of the decimal. 8 is in tenths, hundredths, thousandths. And the 1 is in the 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. State the value of each decimal numeral. A, you have 4 tenths, because 4 is in the tenths place. And you have 7 hundredths, because the 7 is in the hundredths place. Decimal 126 is 126 thousandths. Write the expanded form of each decimal numeral. I only got 1 here, so I said each, but there's only 1. So that's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So it's 8 times 1,000 plus 4 times 100. No tens, 2 ones, so it's 2 times 1 plus no tenths and 9 hundredths. Number 4, change each decimal to a fraction in lowest terms. So decimal 4 is 4 out of 10. 4 is in the tenths place. 4 out of 10, 2 in the 4 goes 2, 2 in the 10 goes 5. Decimal 18 is 18 over 100 because the 8 is in the hundredths place. Divide by 2, I get a 9. Divide by 2, I get 50. And we have decimal 355, so that's 355 over tenths, hundredths, thousand. And when you reduce this, you see a 5 on the end. There's a 5 and a 0, so 5 is divisible into both numbers. So 5 into 10 goes 2, so that's 200. 5 into 35 goes 7. 5 into 5 goes 1, so 71 over 200. Change to a decimal numeral. So I can reduce this by dividing by 2 to get 14 over 10. And if you divide 10 into 14, the decimal moves 1 place to the left. And that's one way. Another way is to divide 20 into 28, which is once, and you get 8 left over, so it's 8 over 20. So that's 1, and 4 goes into 8 2 times, 4 goes into 25 times. So that's 1, 2/5 is 0.4. So that's another way to do it. Number 6, change each fraction to a terminating decimal. So 9 over 10 is decimal 9, because the 9 got to go into tenths place. 7 over 1,000, the 7 has to go into thousands place, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 31 over 100, the 1 got to go in the hundredths place. So 0 decimal 31. 13 over 25, we need a denominator of 100, so we multiply by 4. top by 4. 4 times 25 is 100. 13 times 4 is 52. So 52 over 100 is decimal 52. The 2 has to go in the hundreds place, tenths, hundreds. And we multiply by 2 over 2. Reason 2 is 50 times 2 is 100. 2 times 11 is 22. 22 over 100 is 0.22. The 2 has to go in the hundreds place. So tally your score and mark your number over 17. Here we go. Page 3, number 7. Pause your video, work out this page, and see how many you get right. Change each to a fraction. Notice now, change each fraction to a terminating decimal. So 3 over 5, I can divide by 3 to get 1. Divide by 3, I get 5. So 1/5 is, multiplied by 2, I get 10 over 2. So 10 over 2 is 0.2 or 0.2. 121 over 200, well, I can multiply by 5. The reason I multiply by 5 is to get 1,000. Because if my denominator is 10, 100, or 1,000, etc., then I can convert by putting the digit in that place value. So that's 6, that's a 5, 0, 605. 605. So 605 over 1,000. The 5 got to go in the thousandth place, so it's decimal 605. 12 over 40. 4 into 40 goes 10. 4 into 12 goes 3. So 3 over 10 is decimal 3. 3 got to go in the 10th place. Change each fraction to a repeating decimal. I don't know if you remember that 1/9, let me move it up at the top here. 1/9 is decimal 111 repeating. 2/9 is 0.222 repeating. 3/9, 1/3 is decimal 33. But if you didn't remember that, because I had it on a previous video, the decimal is in each number on the right of the 2 and the right of 9. Put your decimal up. 9 into 20 goes 2 9s or 18. You get a 2. Bring down another 0. 9 into 20 goes 2. So you see the 2 is repeating. So it's decimal 2. The 2 is repeating, so we put a bar above the 2. 1/6, if you want to use your pencil. The decimal's on the end of each number. Move your decimal up. Put a 0. 6 into 0, 6 into 1 can't go. 6 into 10 goes once. You get a 6. That's a 10. Subtract 6 is 4. Bring down another 0. 6 into 40 goes 6. 6 is a 36. Subtract 40, subtract 36 is 4. Bring down another 0. 6 6 is a 36. You can see it's repeating. So the answer is 0.16. The 6 is repeating. Number 9, arrange in descending order. Descend means to go down from highest to lowest. Ascend means to go from lowest to highest. So the largest, we have tenths, so 6.1. So cross it out. The next one would be 2.4. Cross that one out. Now we have 0 tenths, 0 ones. So that's 6 ones, that's 2 ones. So now we have these 3 numbers are the same. So we look to the tenths. We got decimal 8, and decimal 6. So these 2 go next. But notice decimal 8.3 is larger than decimal 8.17. So decimal 8.3, gone. And next is decimal 8.17, done. And the next one is 0.6. Another way to look at that, especially these, is if you put zeros here, and a 0 here, then you can see you have 830, 817, and 600. So this is the highest. B, notice I have all zeros in the 1th place. I have all 4s in the 10th place. So I have to look at the hundreds. So if you notice, that's 3 decimal places. If you make that 3 decimal places, that's 3. That's 3 there. Now you can look at 0 decimal. Notice 480, 4.8. was higher. Then 4.7 is next. 0. And that's gone. So 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So what's higher? 4.57. Next is 4.55. And the last one is 4.51. Again, compare 480, 476. By putting 3 decimal places, you can see you're okay. Round each to the nearest. So I'm going to round this one to the nearest hundreds. Hundreds is tenths, hundreds. There it is. If the number to the right is 5 or greater, add 1 on. So 1 on to 6 makes 7. 1. The digits to the right don't change. And the digits on the digits to the left don't change up to 6. The digits on the right of 6 become a 0. So that's the same as 4.17. Because that 0 is not necessary. B, round to the nearest tenth. 2 is in the 10th place. The digit to the right of 2 is less than 5, so we do not change to 2. So we get a 2. And the digits to the left don't change. And all the digits on the right become 0. But the extra zeros are not necessary. Page 4. Add these up. When you add, you have to line up the decimals. So decimal, 2, 3, 5, and 0.61. They're lined up. If you want, you can fill this in with a 0. 4 plus 1 is 5. 11 and 3 is 14. Carry your 1. 2 and 3 is 5. 2. So 25.45. When you're adding, you have to line up your decimals. Find the sum. The sum means add. So I'm going to add, line up the decimals. 2 goes there, 6 there, 8 there. Put a 0 on that one. Add. 8 and 0 is 8. 1 and 6 is 7. There's your decimal. And you get a 5. Now I have to round the sum to the nearest tenth. So 7 is in the 10th place. The number to the right is 5 or greater, so I add 1 on. So I get an 8. 5 remains the same. That becomes a 0. So the answer is 5.8. Simplify. I have to subtract. When you're subtracting, you have to line up your decimals. So that's a 7 there, 6 there, 1 there. And put a 0 in there. So 1 subtract 1 subtract 0 is 1. 3 subtract 1 is 2. 8 subtract 6 is 2. And we can't subtract, so that becomes a 3. That becomes 11. 11 subtract 4 is 7. 11 subtract 7 is 4. 3. So 34.221. Round this subtraction to the nearest 100. So let's write down 3, 4, 5, 6. Line up your decimals. We're going to subtract. 8 subtract 6 is 2. 7 subtract 5 is 2. Can't subtract. That becomes a 5. That becomes 11. 11 subtract 4 is 7. 5 subtract 3 is 2. Bring down your decimal. And it says round to the nearest 100. 7 is in the 100th place. This is less than 5. So you don't add anything to 7. 2.0. They become 0, so 0.27. Your final answer. Subtract 1473 from 5692. Notice the word from. From means you have to reverse the numerals, the decimals. So notice. Up here it said subtract. That's great. You just put that one underneath. But here you had to reverse them. Got them reversed, so 9 becomes an 8. It becomes a 12. 12 subtract 3 is 9. 8 subtract 7 is 1. 6 subtract 4 is 2. 5 subtract 1 is 4. And bring down your decimal. 42.19. Number 17. Multiply. When you multiply by 10, the decimal moves 1 place to the right. The decimal moves right there. Multiply by 100, the decimal moves 2 places to the right. So it becomes 35.02. Multiply by 1,000 moves 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So it's 5.9. Let's multiply these decimals. Let's see, put the 0.02 below here, multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8, 2 times 1 is 2, and we got 1 decimal place, 2 decimal, 3 altogether, so we start here, 1, 2, 3. So 2.864. Multiply by decimal 0.004, put it down below. 3 times 4 is 12. We have 3 decimal places here, 1, 2, 3. 3 decimal places here, 1, 2, 3 thousandths. So there's 6 decimal places start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So decimals 0.00012. 19, simplify each decimal. Decimal 5 times, notice the multiplication sign is an X. I don't want to use a dot here for multiplication because of the decimal. So that's 25, and there's 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place, there's 2 decimal places, 1, 2. So decimal 25. 0.03 times 0.03. 3 times 3 is 9. There's 2 decimal places in this one. There's 2 decimal places, 4 altogether. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 decimal, 3 zeros and a 9. Number 20, simplify as a decimal. So 1/5 is 2/10, and 2/10 is decimal 2. So I have 4.6, subtract 4.2. 4.6 subtract 4.2 is 0.4. And when you multiply that out, you get 0.4 times 0.4 times 0.4. 16 times 4 is 64. And I got 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3 decimal places. 0.064. Number 21, simplified is the division. So 0.015. I could use a calculator, but I'm going to use my pencil. Now, so the decimals are in, so I moved the decimal 1, 2, 3 places in my divisor, 3 places in my dividend. So there it is, I moved to 3 places, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then you move it up. 15 to 15 goes once, 15 times 1 is 15, subtract, you get a 0 right there, bring down your 3. 15 to 3 can't go, bring down a 1. 15 into 31 goes twice. 2 times 15 is 30, subtract, you get a 1. Bring down your 5, there's a 5 there. 15 into 5, 15 divided 15 is once, so I get a 15. So your answer is 1021. Try your calculator now to see if you're right. And divide this one. Notice it's 4.804 divided by, so that means when you do long division, you have to put the decimal 2 for decimal 02 first. So all the decimals are in the number there and there. So I move it 2 places here, move it 2 places in my dividend. Now I have a 2. 2 into 4 goes 2, get a 4. Bring down your 8. 2 into 8 goes 4. Multiply, you get an 8. Bring down your 0. 2 into 0 goes 0. Bring down your 4. 2 into 4 goes 2. So the answer is 240.2. Let's continue. Dividing by 10. Simplify as a decimal. When you divide by 10, the decimal moves 1 place to the left. So it goes that way. Dividing by 1,000 goes 3 places. 1, 2, and another 0. So it's 0, 2, 6, 2, 3, 7. So 3 places. 1, 2, and another 0. Dividing by 100 goes 2 places. So 1, 2, so we need decimal 009. It goes 2 places to the left. Simplify each as a decimal. Okay, so 3 over 100 is decimal 03. So when I multiply the 3 over 100, the 3 goes in the hundreds place, tenths, hundreds, right? 7 times 3 is 21. We got 2 decimal places there. We got 1 decimal place there. So we get 3 decimal places, 1, 2, and another 0. Decimal 0 to 1. I can do this one several ways. I can change my fractions to a decimal, or I can work out. Let me do it 2 ways. 3/4 is decimal 75. Half is decimal 5, so I have that memorized. So 75 subtract is a 50, so you get decimal 25. So if you multiply those out, 0.25 times 0.2, 5 times 2 is 10, carry 1 is 50, and you got 2 decimal places, 1 decimal place, that's 3 altogether. So your answer to that is decimal 0.5. The end, 0 on the end, don't need it. Or you may work out you may work out a half is the same as, multiply by 2 over 2, you get 2 over 4. And 3 over 4 subtract 2 over 4, you keep your denominator, and 3 subtract 2 is 1. So I got decimal 2 times 1/4, and 1/4 is decimal 25. So you get there that way if you wish. C, let's simplify. Now, remember when I'm doing these, especially this one here, I should be thinking about PEMDAS because I have to do inside of my brackets first, and there's no exponents. So this one, PEMDAS, I have to do inside of my brackets first. So 1.8 subtract 1.65, put a 0 there, and that's a 7, and that's a 10. 10 subtract 5 is 5, 7 subtract 6 is 1, and I get a 0. So that's a 0.15 squared. Notice I have to work the inside of the bracket first. Done. Now I have to do my exponent. So decimal 15 times decimal 15 times 15 is 225. And if you think about it, decimal 15 times decimal 15, there's 4 decimal places, 2 there and 2 there. So 1, 2, 3. So that's what I get when I square it. That's done. So notice I do one step at a time. That's done. So exponents are done. Now I have to multiply this because from left to right, so I got to multiply. So when you multiply fractions, you can cancel. 2 into 2 goes once, 2 into 10 goes 5, 3 into 9 goes 3, 3 into 15 goes 5. So 0.0225 plus 1 times 3 is 3, 5 times 5 is 25. And if we want that as a decimal, multiply by 4 over 4, that gives me 12 over 100. And decimal 0.225, 12 over 100 is decimal 12. And when I add them up, I get 0.225, and I get a 0.12, 5241. So the final answer is 0.1425. Again, just a little bit of working. And if you get 3 marks, if you get part marks, give yourself. If you don't get it correct fully, if you get part marks, give yourself 1 or 2 if it's not fully correct. Number 7, fill in the blanks. Here we go. Notice now I have this laid out. So I'm going to do meters in the middle, and this is grams. This is your basic units in measurement, in weight, and volume. So down on this side is deci, centi, milli. And this is deca, DA. This is hecto, H. And this is K, kilo. That's the way I have it memorized. So as I move to the right, if I move 2 places to the right, the decimal moves 2 places to the right. That's the same as multiplying by 100. If I move to the left, then the decimal moves to the left that many places. So kilograms to meters, kilograms is here, meters is here, 1, 2, 3. 3 places to the right the decimal goes. centimeters, millimeters to centimeters. Millimeter, centimeter is left one place. So the decimal is right there. It goes one place. So it's 6.3. Milliliters, which is right here, milli, to liters is here. That's 3 places. 1, 2, 3 left. That's like divided by 1,000. So to move 3 places, I go 1, 2, 3. So I get 0.5237. Hectograms to decagrams, there's hecta and deca. There's one place to the right, multiplying by 10. So it's 8, so one place to the right is decimal 80. Or 80 decimal, 80. Number 25, how many centigrams are in 10.5 meters? First of all, let's change meters. So 10.5 meters, and a meter is here, and a centimeter is here. So that's 1, 2. So you're really moving it 2 places, or you're multiplying by 100. So if you move it 2 places, like up here, then it's there, so it goes 1, 2. So there it is. So now I have the meters into centimeters. Meters to centimeters. And how many 3.5 centimeters are in 1,050? So the decimal is right there. Decimal is on the end. Move it 1 place. Done. Move it up. 35 into 105 goes 3. 3 5s are 15, 10. Bring down your 0. 35 into 0 is 0. Bring down others at 35 into 0 is 0. 300 is your answer. Oh, don't forget you can use your calculator. Number 26 is a word problem. Board, decimal 718 meters long, is cut into 4 equal pieces. Each saw cut is 2 millimeters wide. Find the length of each piece to the nearest centimeter. So we got to have them in centimeters. So that means decimal 718 meters. Meters to centimeters is 100, so it goes 2 places. And 2 millimeters. Millimeters to centimeters is divided by 10 or move 1 place left. So it's 0.2 centimeters. Okay, now we have, let's explain. If you have a string or a board and you want to cut it into 4 equal pieces, it means that you have to make 1, 2, 3 cuts. 4 equal pieces, 3 cuts. 2 equal pieces, 1 cut. So whatever the number of pieces you want, you have to have 1 cut less. So that means that I have to have the saw cut is decimal 2 wide, but I have 3 cuts. So 3 times 2 is 6, so it's 0.6. So that's the width, that's each saw cut. Added up is decimal 0.6. So if we take the 71.8 centimeters and subtract the saw cuts, you subtract, you get a 217 decimal. So that means that was the width of the board is going to be 71.2 amongst those 4. So if we take 4 and divide into 71.2, we get the length of each piece. So 4 into, there's the decimal. There's the decimal's already on the right. So we move it up. 4 into 7 goes 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 when you subtract. 4 into 31 is 4 sevenths. I'm going to put an 8 in. 4 sevens are 28. Subtract and you get a 3. 4 into 32 goes 8. So that means each piece is 17.8 centimeters. Number 27. A water container has 4.5 liters. Joe drank decimal 3 of the water. Harry drank 1.5 times as much as Joe. How much did Jim drink if he drank the remainder of the water? Well, let's look at Joe. It says Joe drank decimal 3 of the water. So 5 times 3 is 15, 12, 13, and there's 1 decimal place, so Joe drank 1.35. But Harry let's see, Harry drank 1.5 times as much. So Harry drank, there's what Joe drank, and Harry drank 1.5 times that. And if you use a calculator, I'm going to use a pencil. Easier, or for me, just as easy. 5 5s are 25. You got to carry your 2, 17, carry your 1. 5 3 1. It's 5 2 0 2. And you have two decimal places there. 2, 1 there, 3 altogether. 1 2 3. So now, if Joe drank 1.35. and Harry drank 2.025. Add up 573.3. So if the total amount was 4.5 and Harry and Joe drank 3.375, we have to subtract and we'll get what Jim is going to drink. 0 0. So that's a 4, and that's a 10, can't do it. So that's a 9, that becomes 10. 10 subtract 5 is 5. 9 subtract 7 is 2. 4 subtract 3 is 1. And 4 subtract 3 is 1. So notice that Jim drank the remainder. So Jim drank 1.125 liters of what was remaining. That's the end of the quiz. Don't forget, add up all your pages. Look back at the first page. Add up all the totals at the bottom. Put it over 70. Divide 70 into that. Get a decimal. Move your decimal 2 places to the right and get your percent. And see how well you did. And that brings me to the end. If you like this video, then click on my like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and write a comment on my video if you wish. And you may visit my website at www.mathfullyexplained.com. There you get information about me, my degrees and teaching experience, the videos, what teaching strategies I'm going to use. The section on content gives you the topics I have online and the number of videos in each of those topics. Black font is what I have completed already. The red font is what I will be doing in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.